put together a cohesive drive late in the fourth quarter. They haven't won consecutive games this season, and they are winless on the road. Schrags, what did you learn last night?
It's funny because they were up 14-3 in the first half of this one. They had leads in the fourth quarter of this one, and they couldn't close the door. And so the topic is going to be right away, the star Aaron Rodgers and what the Packers did wrong. What I took away from this one is that this Seattle franchise is a different beast than everyone else. This Seattle franchise has something special in it that maybe we don't appreciate on the East Coast or maybe in the national media. The Seahawks were not supposed to be good this year. And when I say supposed to be good, everyone else was telling them, you're not supposed to be a good team this year. It's supposed to be a rebuild year. You lose Richard Sherman. You get rid of all of these guys in the defensive backfield. Coaching changes on the offensive coordinator role. Seahawks are 5-5 and right in the mix. And it tells me how strong and stable that franchise is. You know, we're here in New York. The New York Knicks have been rebuilding for 15 seasons, and every offseason it's going to be a bit of a long build here. The New York Jets even, Mike McCagnon came out earlier this season and said, well, 2019's always been the goal. We've got $100 million in cap space. There was no reason the Seahawks shouldn't have been a cellar-dwelling team this year in the NFC West, except for the fact that those guys in that building, those guys in that locker room, and those guys on the coaching staff and the front office, John Schneider, Trent Kirchner, all those guys built a team that can compete this year. And oh, by the way, they have a Super Bowl winning quarterback in Russell Wilson. Right. So to me, the story in the headline, a lot of places are going to be what the Packers did wrong and where their shortcomings were. But the Seahawks as a whole, to be entering Week 12 as a 5-5 team in the mix of the playoffs, awesome. I love that. And it tells me a lot about what they've got going on there in Renton, Washington.
Maybe it was a graduation.
Yeah. You know what else they weren't supposed to be this year? A running team. And they are running the ball as if this is their identity. We come in every single season saying Russell Wilson is going to account for most of the touchdowns. They got wide receivers that we don't respect that will make plays. They have tight ends that will step up and come up with some big plays. But last night I was watching this game, and there were some moments. There was a fourth down early in the game where they said, you know what? It's fourth and short. Let's go ahead and run the ball. And they did. And they gave it to Chris Carson, who fumbled the ball early in the game. There were some third and shorts where their identity usually would have been drop back, let Russell Wilson do what he does, try to deliver the ball to some of his wide receivers, or Russell, keep it and be phenomenal with your feet. They didn't lean on him. They didn't lean on him more than they needed to. We saw this over and over and over again. And as much as we're going to compliment the Packers offense, as much as we're going to compliment the Packers defense when they made plays like this, hitting a team in the mouth on 4th and 1, short and 1, short yardage runs, right by the red zone.
That run was awesome. This is an angry run, Kyle.
That's demoralizing right there. It's not awesome. It's demoralizing to a defense that thinks they have a chance. So the short running game for the Seattle Seahawks, it says a lot. When we're coming off a season last year where Russell Wilson accounted for 36 out of 38 of their touchdowns. And the year before, he led their team with 850 yards rushing. This is a different team. Yeah. And for what it's worth, I know Russell Wilson sitting back saying, thank you. About time I don't have to save the world every single game.
I love that you're talking run game and offense and the team as a whole. Part of that is the defense. You don't lose 5 Pro Bowlers and still have a top 10 defense. That is unheard of, and that's what they've got going on. I was really keyed in on that in this game, watching what they were doing. Frank Clark with a couple of sacks there, and you had Bobby Wagner everywhere with 9 tackles. But really, to hold the Packers to 3 points in the second half was crazy. They ate their Oikos 0-0 and got it going because that was, in my opinion, what fueled the win. They were down big. Russell Wilson, of course, did his thing, but the Packers had less than 50 yards on the ground. All we talked about, at least I did, all week was Aaron Jones, though. Man, Aaron Jones is really good. They ran the ball perfectly the week before. This Seattle defense, without those stars, 5 Pro Bowlers, is bringing it. To me, it all comes down to Bobby Wagner and how he's just all over the field in a complete destructive wrecking force, obviously. But Ken Norton Jr., we see you. You know Seattle. You've been there several years before, and you're back and you're crushing it as the D coordinator. So shout out to you and what this young, feisty defense is doing as part of the graduation.
They deserve it, Carrie. It's a graduation party. It's 100% right. And I'm trying as much as I can, but I keep coming back to Rodgers.
That's the story today.
You know, some of us, I certainly am being called a Rodgers apologist or making excuses for him, and I'm evaluating myself. Am I just being seduced by the talent and making excuses for him? And I look at the game and I say, hell no, I'm not. He's the best player on the field. And the idea now, do you know that Aaron Rodgers right now is in the longest interception-free streak of his career? 255 in his career, MVP. It's the best he's ever played in a lot of ways. I will say this, there's something going on where I look at Aaron Rodgers kind of like The Rock.
Go on.
The Rock is universally beloved. Everyone loves him. He's a great guy. He's charismatic. People love The Rock. I love The Rock. The Rock's movies are horrible. The Rock, I don't think, has ever made a movie that
Big in China.
test of time. Ever. That's fine. I'm sure the Chinese people love him. Good for them. He's never made a movie that my kids are going to watch, that my grandkids are going to watch in 5 years, 10 years. It's disposable fast food entertainment. And I feel like the Rodgers is giving us Rock movies one after another. And what do you do when the movies are bad one after another? You need a new director.
Yeah.
We are not the fire coach show, fire anybody show. How many coaches has LeBron James had in his career? About 15? How many coaches, Peter, has Aaron Rodgers had in his career? One.
Yeah.
It's Mike McCarthy. The marriage isn't working. And you can get and sit on the couch and sort that out. Now we're having tangible transgressions about not challenging and not going for it. This marriage is on the splits.
13 years they've been together.
13 years, Peter, and one Super Bowl appearance with the greatest quarterback any of us have ever seen. I think it might be time for a new director.
We'll see if it happens. Could you see that happening in season?
No.
Like no chance?
Because the only reason you would fire a coach in season is if there's a guy on staff that you're like, he's the next one.
There's no solution here.
Yeah. And they're not out of it yet. That's the crazy thing.
I know.
There's a chance the Bears fall apart.
You said you'd be shocked
But if
today
they
the
miss the
Packers lost.
playoffs for the second, I mean, that doesn't happen, then you've got to make a change, right?
I think they should if things don't drastically change.
You know who might be happy about this Packers loss?
Someone on the Bears?
Our next guest, that is right. A Super Bowl champion with the Eagles, Trey Burton, is joining the show.